All right. I am putting this live. I'm going to tweet out a link, and we got some basketball to talk about. What a game. What a win for Michigan. And excited to talk about it. Just need to find. Here we go. All right. Hopefully, some people start rolling in. Thanks for bearing with me and waiting for some people to come in. But what a win! I scheduled this because I figured there would be something worth talking about, win or lose, because a win means Michigan just picked up its biggest win of the season, and a loss means that the Big Ten race just got a lot more interesting. And luckily for Michigan fans, it's the former. Michigan just picked up an absolutely incredible win. And the Big Ten picture is a lot more clear right now. I don't think you can anoint Michigan as the Big Ten champs quite yet, but it's looking really, really good. And I think the only team that can sort of knock Michigan off its perch is Illinois. Michigan is at 11-1. Illinois is at 12-3. Everyone else. So it's going to be Michigan or it's going to be Illinois. The head-to-head game is going to say a lot there. If Michigan wins, it's over. Absolutely fantastic shape. And to get a win over Ohio State's huge, but particularly to get away over Ohio State the way Michigan did today is incredible. First couple of minutes, a little bit of a slow start, and it seemed like one of those games where Ohio State can build and get a big lead. And that Michigan really, really never slowed down. I think I'm having a little bit of connection trouble. Sorry, I'm in Texas right now. As you guys know, we had some weather issues earlier this week, but in pretty good shape now. But there might be some residual internet issues. So thanks for bearing with me there. Yeah, just saying, Michigan got those big shots by Eli Brooks early in the game, and then they really didn't slow down. That offense was just a well-oiled machine, and it's great to win a game because you played well and not necessarily kind of backed into a win. But the last 10 minutes of that game were incredibly sloppy, and it was just kind of blah. And Michigan played this game for 40 minutes, and they earned every element of this win because Ohio State played really well. Ohio State made tough shots throughout, and I don't think you can call that luck because that's just Ohio State being a good basketball team. But Michigan weathered that early start, had an answer every time Ohio State kind of pulled the lead. They had a couple times where they took maybe a 3-point lead, and if Michigan had slowed on offense, it seemed like somewhere where Ohio could make a run, but Michigan had an answer every time. And maybe the most impressive thing out of all of this to me was Michigan not folding when there were some incredibly atrocious calls. Like, no, I don't want to be that guy that just complains about officiating. Like, I'm glad Michigan won because I hate walking away from a game where Michigan lost and then be ref excuse guy because I hate people that just blame officiating. But it is a fact that the officiating in this game was pretty brutal. Number of offensive foul calls, midway through the second half, but the first 4 or 5 calls, every single call seemed wrong, and every single call seemed to go against Michigan. And I don't think it's conspiracy, but it's annoying. And Michigan had the maturity to just deal with it and move forward. So really just a great 2 hours of basketball to watch, whether you're a fan or you're not a fan. I was texting some friends in the media during halftime, and they're just like, there have been some really ugly college basketball games this year, and it is really cool to see just a well played game, whether you have a skin in the race or not. But I do have a skin in the race. I'm a Michigan guy. All you guys in here basically are too, and it's great to see your team play like that and start peaking coming toward March. So those are kind of my early impressions. Kind of here to take questions from anyone if there's anything you guys want to talk about. But yeah, I'm in a great mood, and I assume and hope you guys are too. So you tell me what you want to talk about, and let's talk. Yeah, Brandon Fisher said Hunter looked like a man amongst boys today. Incredible, and you knew he was going to be important in the second half because Michigan shot so well from three in that first half. Like Dickinson was going to have a second half, a big second half, because Ohio State was going to make adjustments and start storming that 3-point line, and that's what they did. But Dickinson was there, and I don't have a stat line right in front of me, but he had some huge rebounds. Finished at the hoop much better in the second half than the first half, but he also had some great passes. And I know I'm not the first person to say that, but Hunter Dickinson adds such an interesting element to this offense because he can make great passes from where he's at. So Dickinson was huge. Absolutely. Colin agrees Dickinson was the X factor. Brandon Fisher asks, who's the most important player to a long run in the tourney? You can answer a lot. I think the last couple of weeks, you say Franz Wagner's been Michigan's best player. He was pretty adamant Michigan can still win. I'd probably say Dickinson. I think you might tell. I'd probably tell you Livers and Wagner are probably better players, but I think when we're talking about most important for a long run, I think it's important that Dickinson stays out of foul trouble. But I think he like having a 7-1 guy in the middle of that offense with his skill set is what makes this Michigan team so unique. So I think having him there healthy and out of foul trouble is huge, because even if he's not putting up 22 and 14, he's making defenses really worry about him. And I think that's one of the reasons Michigan shot so well in the first half, was because I think Ohio State's initial plan was to sort of shut down Dickinson and make someone else beat you. And Michigan, someone else did so well to the tune of 45 points in the first half that they had to adjust. But if I had to choose, I'd go with Dickinson there. Chad says Shawnee came up big. Shawnee Brown's huge. To make those 3 threes, one after another, the first half really, I think, set the tone for Michigan's offensive explosion. He really didn't do much for like that 20-minute stretch in between, but I was elated to see him playing crunch time minutes today. I give Juwan Howard credit for sort of going away from his usual rotation there, but Brown made some great plays on offense, and his energy on the boards, on defense, is incredible. That huge offensive rebound he had, don't have the time in front of me, but I think 4 to 5 minutes to go, and that long sequence that Michigan finally ended up scoring on after a couple second chance points. I think that was emblematic of the type of team Michigan is, but also why Michigan won. And Brown, the element he adds to this team is huge. Currently ratioing in Ohio Twitter. So I'm doing this thing right now. So I'm not scrolling on Twitter right now, but I'm very excited to check out the Ohio State official Twitter once they put the score out. Michigan Twitter. It's honestly one of my favorite things about this run and this team is how much fun you can have on Twitter just after games and during games, and the members of Michigan Twitter that sort of lead that charge. I'm highly entertained by them. So props to them, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. Found it interesting that Davis and Johns got run with that under 8 to go. Yeah, luckily that lineup didn't last very long, but that made me a little worried. I like the energy that Johns brings, but when you've got Johns and Davis in there, you're a little limited in what you can do on offense. Wasn't Austin Davis's best game defensively either. He had a couple soft fouls that led to some and ones, but the thing about Hunter Dickinson is when you're a 7'1" guy and you're going to play key minutes, you are going to get tired. You're going to get gassed. So he's going to have to sit. But I'm definitely I like non-Dickinson lineups to be either Davis at the 5 or Johns at the 5, and not both of them at 5 and 4. So was surprised to see that rotation in with about 8 minutes to go, but I was happy that it was not that lineup didn't last that long. How do you feel about staying with a tight 8-man rotation today? I like it. I think that's what Michigan needs to be at. I think Howard has figured that out as the season has gone by. I think if you get in foul trouble or you need sort of a quick injection of energy, Terrence Williams can give you some quality minutes. But I like the tight 8-man rotation. I think some teams go too deep. I'm not going to turn this into a Michigan State troll session, but them playing 10, 11 deep is, I think, it's doing too much. It's worrying too much about appeasing too many people. You play throughout the year to learn what your optimal rotation is, and Juwan Howard knows what that is. Michigan's top 8, really good. I like the people that they've got at 9, 10, 11. I think they're going to be contributors for this program for years to come. But this is about getting your best players as many minutes possible in key moments. And I like going 8-man at that point. Sean, do you want us the game? I sort of point I made earlier. I agree with that. How does Michigan match up against Illinois? It depends on what Illinois team you got. When Illinois is playing well and at their peak, they probably are the team that can come the closest to playing the way Michigan can at its peak. Ohio State's a good team, a very good team, and they've got a couple good individual players, but I think Illinois has more than just those two players, and they have some players with higher ceilings. So I love that Michigan's game against Illinois is in Ann Arbor. I think that's going to be huge. But Illinois has played really well. They looked great against Minnesota, and we'll see. But I think when Michigan's playing sort of in situations like this where they're kind of playing with house money, it's not absolutely crucial that they lose or crucial that they win. I think the pressure's on Illinois. Illinois needs this win to keep their title hopes alive, or all of a sudden Michigan is going to be 3 games ahead of anyone in the conference in the loss column. So I feel good about the game, but I also know that Illinois is a very competent team that can do a lot of damage. Apologies if anyone can hear shouting in the background. By the way, got some things going on while I take a mini break right now to come up for air. If you're not subscribed to the channel, if you can subscribe to the channel, it's a huge help. The more it shows up on people's channels when I do things, whether it's a live chat or a video breakdown or something like that, and if you can give this video a like, the more videos are liked, the more it shows up on the algorithm. So just a quick 2-3 second thing that you can do that's a favor to me. Junior vibes like crazy. Just calm, under control, never speeds up. First of all, can people stop hitting Mike Smith in the head? That's, I think, the strength he has just as a leader. He's just a tough, gritty guy, and gets things done. But Mike Smith running the point, he's not making a lot of mistakes. I still don't love all the mid-range jumpers he takes, but he makes more than the average person can, so I can let that slide. But having a veteran like Smith is huge, especially when you've got some younger players in this team. So having that veteran leadership, both of the guys Michigan added from the portal are absolutely huge. And the chatter that Smith might come back next year is absolutely huge to but I expect them to be gone, and what you're going to lose from them, not just in production, but in leadership, sort of institutional knowledge. It would be huge to have someone like Smith back next year, sort of running this offense and this team in general. Brooks struggled guarding Washington, great defensive player in a vacuum, but think in the second half, especially, Ohio State sort of made some nice adjustments and got it so Brooks was sort of being on taller guards in the paint, and they were driving and backing him up in there. I think Brooks is more impactful when he's an in-your-face, on-the-ball defender, but his size isn't necessarily an advantage, and I think Ohio State schemed against that and made really good adjustments in the second half. So I don't necessarily think you have to not have Smith and Brooks together, but I do think against teams with bigger, more physical guards, it's something that Michigan is going to have to come up with a plan B about. But this coaching staff all season long, whenever teams have sort of honed in on something and taken advantage of it, Michigan has done an excellent job. Sort of going to the lab, going to practice, and finding a way to combat against that. And I have complete faith in this staff. I'm a Michigan fan, but you talk about MSU more than Michigan these days. Yeah, no, absolutely. Check out my feed today. It was all about Michigan State. Good call there. Ohio State, best shooting football team I've ever seen. Yeah, the shooting was incredible. I made the comment about midway through the game that both offenses were playing well. I thought Michigan's like offensive philosophy, like its sets, were being more effective than Ohio State, because I think Michigan was routinely in the half court was getting open looks, and Ohio State was a little more great individual contributions and some one-on-one play. And that's not necessarily criticism. I think that's part of their that's sort of what their plan is, because it's based off their strengths, and they have a couple really good individual players that can take people off the ball. But I prefer Michigan, and I think Michigan has a better chance of making a long run in a tournament setting because it's not so reliant on one-on-one ball. Get some Go Blues. Got over 1,500 replies on that Ohio State thing. I'm now up to 2,000, so excited to check that out. Yeah, that's it for questions right now. If you got any more, get them in now. If not, I'm going to hop off. Yes, the behind the back pass botch. That'll be good for memeing, good for trolling going forward, because like I said, the first 38 minutes of this game was just incredibly well played by both teams, and it wasn't a case for memeing. I think Michigan fans have had to rely on the Aaron Kraft hands overhead, sad laying down on the Chrysler floor for so long. So that'll be nice to add into the repertoire. But in actuality, it was a really heads up play by Isaiah Livers. Other people just stopped, and I think this Michigan team is full of really smart, observant, heady players, and that 4-point swing right there. Really more or less the difference in the game. Obviously the last couple of minutes would have played out a little differently and turned into a free throw shooting, swapping 2 points for 3 points, and necessarily wouldn't have happened. But I think that play iced the game, and it was very, very great. Quick, someone check with Illinois Twitter and ask if they've finally played somebody yet. I mean, that's the joy of a game like this. Michigan not only played great, but it played great against. I mean, this is literally, there are 4 projected number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament, and Ohio State is one of them. And Michigan didn't just beat them; they beat them on the road. And yes, it's not a packed arena, but don't tell me there wasn't a home court advantage at that game today, because there absolutely was. And the refs don't have it out against Michigan. I answered every single charge Ohio State had, and they picked up the most impressive win of the season. I think nationwide, this is probably one of the 2 or 3 biggest wins in the country for a resume. So I wrote earlier this week that I think Michigan has a better chance of winning the Big Ten. Michigan's beat everyone they played, but they hadn't played your Ohio States, your Iowas, your Illinois yet, and we're going to get to see that in the next couple of weeks. But to start off with, on paper, what's going to be the most difficult of those matchups, and to come away with a road win is absolutely crucial. And it's going to shut everyone up that has an ounce of self-awareness. So it should shut most people up, but I'm sure MSU Twitter will still be chirping, and I'm sure some of the wonderful members of Illinois Twitter will be a question from him, the greatest diehard softball fan I know. I'm excited to see Michigan's baseball and softball teams get going this week. I think they're if you're a Michigan fan that's sort of just a football and basketball fan, or you get in, Michigan's got a very entertaining wrestling team, your tracks and all that. There's lots of layers of fandom and stuff, but highly suggest following softball and baseball. Do not have a predicted record off the top of my head, but I have been on record and written before about I love a lot of coaches at Michigan. I have loved a lot of coaches at Michigan. Just how fun it's been to interact with her over the years. So yeah, so we're ending on a quick little softball and baseball note, but well, let's call it a day. I've got some Twitter to scroll through and some fun to partake in, but really appreciate everyone that hopped on here. Appreciate people that were interacting during the game. Blast sometime soon. So thank you very much. Have a good Sunday and go Blue.